Today on Sustainepreneur Podcast, we're going to talk about what it means to be a sustainepreneur and what kinds of new struggles we trade with the old ways of business. We're bridging the gap between business and sustainability, so stick around. Being an entrepreneur has always been a journey of struggle and in finding the courage to conquer over that struggle. And I think you get better and better at it over time. I'd say, other than the time I spent between Iraq and Afghanistan, starting a business was one of the most powerful learning experiences of my life. I encountered growth that I don't think I would have ever found had I had taken the employee route. But then when you throw in something like a sustainable business model into the mix, a new struggle takes shape between what you thought old business was and the old mentality and the new ways of business in the new millennia. There are still quite a few people out there who think you need to be this hard-nosed, penny-pinching dictator whose sole purpose is profits. I mean, granted, there are a lot of companies out there who have come out on top with this method because they were able to kill off any competition and bring their customers big bulk buys at rock bottom prices at the expense of things like local jobs and shoddy environmental practices. But in the new era of business, those kinds of practices could completely destroy a business's reputation to the point where it may never be able to recover. So thankfully, those old days are coming to an end, and you're starting to see honest, hardworking business folks like you and I who just want to prosper through a mutually beneficial relationship. The struggle of a sustainepreneur has become more about how to earn profit from your fellow human beings by going beyond simply offering just a product or a service. The goal is to earn the trust of your patrons so that your business can reach a level of prominence in your community where it's seen as being a vitally functional member of society. But there's no two ways about it. There are still some of the old truths that persist just as they have since the dawn of business. Whether a sustainepreneur or just a plain old entrepreneur, it's still going to take a lot of hard-ass work. There's no getting around that. Even those who start out with a lot of money can learn real fast that a mistake can cost large sums of money really quickly. I'm personally glad I chose, I guess involuntarily chose the lean bootstrap approach. I think you learn better how to make things happen even when they seem impossible. And when things don't work out, you can't afford to just sit around moping about it because that would be a waste of time, and time is money. You move on. I've always said that being an entrepreneur is a lot like being a prize fighter. You start out reading and learning as much as you can about different fighting styles, different techniques, theories, and you probably start doing some training at the gym. And then one day you take the next step and decide, I'm going to step in the ring. See, this is the equivalent to starting your own business here. So you study your opponent, you train harder than you've ever trained before, and you make a plan of attack and focus all of your energy for your big night. You decide, I'm going to come in swinging, a few jabs with my left, a few hooks with my right. He'll be down and out before the end of the first round. Then you go on to plan your victory speech and where you're going to take everyone afterwards to celebrate. And then the day comes when you step in the ring, and before you know it, you're into the third round. You can't breathe. You feel pain all over your body like you've never felt before. and you can barely see your opponent through all the blood and sweat and pus in your eyes. And when you finally eat that canvas, you hear these words, 8, 9, 10. And the winner is not you. Because you see, the true test of an entrepreneur is not in their successes, but in how they were able to deal with their defeats. And a defeat isn't just about closing your doors. No. Defeat can come every day in the entrepreneurial world. A defeat can be looking at your children and realizing you still have so much work to do that you just need to pat them on the head, tell them you love them, and get back to work. Defeat can be in making a bad decision and having to face the consequences. Defeat can come in form of litigation or even lawsuits. A lot of people at that point are smart enough to throw in the towel and say, well, been there, done that, got the t-shirt, and that's fine. No shame in it whatsoever. In fact, it's probably smarter and better for your health to give it up because the stress can be enough to cut 10 plus years off of your life. The life of an employee can be a comfortable one, even in the worst environments. But for some of us, it just isn't enough to simply be comfortable. Some of us want more. We believe that we're capable of more. So after your big fight night, you end up walking around in the dimly lit stadium, among the stands and the sticky soda-covered floor, wondering, where the hell did it all go wrong? You had it all figured out. You covered all the bases, you learned as much as you could, and it was a sure bet. And then you ask yourself that fateful question. Am I really cut out for this? Is this all worth it, or should I go back to my day job? But then you start thinking about where it went wrong and how you could do it better next time. If that thought gets you excited enough to go home and get up early to start training for the next fight, you are a born entrepreneur. The whole experience of starting your own business can leave you questioning everything, yourself and the world, in ways that you never would have if you stayed an employee your whole life. But being an entrepreneur is something I wish everyone could go through at least once in their life. Better yet, a sustainepreneur, because it's 3 times as rewarding. And the longer you do it, the more rewarding it becomes, regardless of how much money you make at it. Now, that's not to say that you want to do it for free, because you don't. But the goal is to at least be able to earn a comfortable living doing what you love and being able to profit from doing it honestly. The struggle used to be about compromising bits and pieces of our integrity so that we could at least be somewhat competitive with all the big cutthroat conglomerates out there. Those days are fast fading, and the future of small business looks very bright. The new struggle in business will be more about figuring out which problems to solve in the world and in how to market it so that the world can support you through their patronage. And that's the kind of struggle I can live with. That concludes our episode for today. As always, thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to like, share, rate, and subscribe. And we'll see you all again next time on Sustainepreneur Podcast, where we are bridging the gap between business and sustainability.